Today on the news and why it matters, the Young Turks had some pretty disgusting, offensive things to say about Dan Crenshaw. Poor Sean Spicer, he can't catch a break. And a possible Republican challenger for Donald Trump in 2020. A lot to get into. It starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez, today joined by Mr. Glenn Beck. Yay! Stu Bergier.
Boo.
Wow. You were right on that.
Shouldn't have booed myself.
And the Blaze.com's Aaron Cullen. Thank you for being here, Aaron.
Applause, thank you very much.
And you missed our green memo.
Yes.
I did, but I brought us presents.
Oh, yay. Okay, you can still be in the club then. Got a lot to get into. First, we want to thank our sponsor, American Financing.
American Financing, the people that I trust to refinance, purchase, or do anything that you want to do with your home loans. I'm in fact refinancing right now. I have a 4.7, I think, interest rate, and get it down to 4 at least, and lock it in. I highly recommend that you take this moment of relative prosperity and lock things down, because storms are coming. I don't know when, but storms are coming. These people work for you. They don't work for the bank. So if you're looking to buy a new home, now's the time. If you're looking to refinance, now is the time. Just call American Financing at 800-906-2440. It's americanfinancing.net.
So Hassan Piker, I guess is his name. He's part of the Young Turks programming, and he had some really, really interesting things to say about Representative Dan Crenshaw. I want to get all of your thoughts on it, but let's watch the clip first.
I can't do it. This guy has the understanding of foreign policy of like a 12-year-old. What the is wrong with this dude? Didn't he go to war and like literally lose his eye because some mujahideen, a brave soldier, his eye hole with their? Isn't that how he lost his dumbass eye? Because he got his eye hole by a brave soldier? Didn't he learn that there's a difference between like military bases and diplomacy?
What a moron.
You go from Kevin Williamson's like 19-syllable words to that. There's quite the difference.
I mean, I watched this last night, and it immediately pissed me off. I mean, the disrespect here is just, how dare you? How dare you? And you're calling terrorists, you're calling them brave soldiers. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, maybe they do believe in what they say. They're willing to blow themselves up. Okay, so they're brave soldiers, but he's not. He's not. To the disrespect and the arrogance coupled with the ignorance is just overwhelming. And you know, I thought about it all day yesterday, and I got up this morning, and it's not worth it. I don't even know that guy's name. I'm not going to take the time to learn his name. It's not important. You know, this is a perfect example of, there's been these dopes that are wearing muscle shirts ever since I was born. They're like, hey, and they've been saying stupid stuff like that. Now, generally, we left them behind in high school, but that's the kind of stupid stuff that you've heard from dopes like this. And we used to all just move on. But now, if he says it, and he's got a computer in his basement, he can say it, and everybody looks at it, and then they get mad at him. And then what does he do? He becomes famous, more power, whatever. He is not worth our time.
I mean, do you worry, though, about the change in culture?
Hello, 2012. Yes. Yeah, that's been going on for a long time. This is a massive pivot. I mean, I can't even imagine. I mean, look at how much trouble I got in, 10 years ago for things I said. I never said anything like that. Look at Bill Maher. Bill Maher got fired from ABC, which I stuck up for him, right after the 2001, the 9/11 terrorist attacks. And he said kind of the same thing. He said, well, at least there's...
No, his was not nearly as bad as that.
No, but for the time...
It was very...
You know, he said, at least their soldiers were brave. They're willing to go down with the plane. Well, so are ours, but, you know, we prefer not to.
Yeah.
But he got fired for that. And that was everywhere. Everyone was outraged by that. Everyone, both sides. This, it's a blip.
Yeah, I mean, look, Bill Maher also has a profile that this guy does not have. Though I will say it's not just a guy in his basement, right? It's part of the Young Turks. They've got a $20 million capital investment from big-time people in Hollywood. So the fact that this is tied to that is somewhat notable. I will say also, like, Dan Crenshaw seems like a really good guy and a smart guy and, you know, potentially like a future star in the Republican Party. At some point, like... it's not his fault, but like we have to stop focusing on, hey, the guy's got a patch on his eye, right? Like that has to not be the story every single time we hear from Dan Crenshaw.
Well, no, wait. We're only hearing that from the same people who say, don't say that they're differently able.
Don't be ableist.
Don't say that. Don't be so ableist. I mean, you said anything about somebody wearing an eye patch or had cross eyes or God forbid, you know, cataracts on their eyes, and you'd say something about them. Well, I don't think they're that smart. Oh, really? You have a problem with people with cataracts? I mean, look at what's happening. They don't care. They don't care about climate change. They don't care about ableists. They don't care about any of it. They're just using it as a tool to, in his case, foment revolution.
But to Stu's point about Crenshaw and how he's a good guy, I mean, I think that's why you see that he's such a target. He's somebody who has appeal that can possibly reach a more mainstream audience than maybe other Republican politicians. And to the left, that's a threat. You know, it's a threat to see somebody on his trajectory in politics. And so they target him with these attacks, not on policy, he doesn't say anything really controversial. I mean, he has pretty standard views on most things, I think. But you see them attack him with such anger, with such viciousness. And I think it's because they see what he can become and what impact he can have, and they want to try to maybe take him down early so that 8 years from now, he's not somebody that they have to deal with on a larger scale.
And his responses, I haven't seen one yet from on this, but his responses are always great. He doesn't care.
Yeah, we have a tweet from him responding to this. He says that Hassan seems to confuse improvised explosive device with some weird terrorist fantasy. Sorry for triggering you, Hassan. You're no Pete Davidson. Stop trying so hard.
Yeah, excellent.
He handles these things very, very well.
Very well.
It's honestly like, I love that. It was right when he did that with Pete Davidson. It's like, you're just like, this guy's different, right? Like, this is a guy that can step up and actually not try to take advantage of this. People forget that this happened, like, what, 2 days before his election? What an easy thing to take advantage of, get sympathy, become the victim. And, you know, a guy like him, he doesn't want to be the victim. And that's what we used to be in America. It used to be a country that wanted to avoid being the victim instead of just constantly praising that side of it.
And that's what happens when a country loses faith in itself. The reason why Dan handles this, he is a SEAL.
Yeah, this is nonsense.
I mean, this is nonsense. I've had people try to, you know, kill me. I've had, you know, an explosive device go off in my face, and I'm still standing. And I'm now a congressman. I don't care what you say. And that was the sign of an American. You could say anything about American. We knew who we were. This is only taking root in us because we don't know who we are anymore.
What would you say to all of the many people calling for this guy to be fired for his remarks?
No, you want those people to expose themselves. Look, this is really, I don't know how it ends, but this is a phase. This is a phase. This is going to pass. McCarthyism, it passed. You know, the craziness in the 30s with the Nazis in America, it passed. The Klan, it's passed. Mm-hmm. You know, it will burn itself out. You don't really have to fight this. This is so insane, so rude, so horrible that nobody wants to be standing with that.
I will say I do not want to pay for his unemployment. So I want him to keep it, and this is a perfect place for him to be employed. That's exactly where he should be. He should be at the Young Turks Network.
You know, if anybody knows what the Young Turks...
That's exactly where I was going. Can I give you this?
Yeah.
This is from the International Association of Genocide Scholars, okay? And this comes from a 2005 letter they wrote to the Turkish government. It says hundreds of independent scholars who have no affiliations with governments, who expand many countries and nationalities like over the course of decades. The scholarly evidence reveals the following. Under the cover of World War II, the Young Turk government of the Ottoman Empire began a systematic genocide of Armenian citizens, an unarmed Christian minority population. More than 1 million Armenians were exterminated through direct killing, starvation, torture, and forced death marches. The rest of the Armenian population fled into permanent exile. Thus, an ancient civilization was expunged from its homeland of 2,500 years, and they named the network after that group.
Yeah, so now that makes more sense now to see somebody saying
exactly
on the network.
He's in the perfect spot. He should stay there forever. He should get a lifetime contract. Can you imagine if we rename this the Nazi network or the Khmer Rouge network or the Hutu network? No one would accept that for a second. These guys named their network after an organization that wiped out 1.8 million people and chased a civilization out of their homeland of 2,500 years. And everyone's like, oh, let's give them $20 million.
It's the Young Turks are the reason we have the word genocide. Genocide, that word didn't exist until the Young Turks. The Young Turks were Hitler's inspiration. He watched the Young Turks kill 1.8 million people. And he said, if they can do it and the rest of the West doesn't care, I can take the Jews out.
How many in their audience do you think know that history well when they see that name? Do you think that's well known, or do you think they just think, oh, that's an interesting name?
Yeah.
Because they had the spunk revolution, little young kids coming up revolution, and they were going to do a constitution. Yeah, well, once they got in power, what did they do with it? Mm-hmm. They killed 1.8 million people. I mean, it's like there's probably a lot of people in Germany who are like, I don't know, Adolf might save the economy, but he's kind of remembered for what happened after he got power. And the fact that this is an acceptable part of discourse after the things that they will read into what Donald Trump says when he says, I guess I'm the chosen one. He thinks he's God. These guys named their network. That's not a flippant comment.
And by the way,
they named their network. Well, how did you name this network? The Blaze.
After God.
Right.
After the blaze of God.
The blaze of...
The blaze of... that will burn all imperfections out. Here's the thing.
There's thought that comes into those names is my point. And when you're planning your Young Turks, what you're doing there.
Look, if you admired the Young Turks and you said, well, they were this young group that came to power and they were just struggling for power, blah, blah, blah. Okay, tell me about the Armenian genocide. Yeah, they went wrong. They were way off. They killed 1.8 million people.
You can't get that with genocide.
Right, but he says, I don't have enough information. I don't know about the Armenian genocide. I don't have enough information. So he is a genocide denier, a Holocaust denier. That they named it for the Young Turks, the ones who committed genocide.
So no, he's not getting fired.
Yeah, no. Well, but
I hope he stays.
Yeah,
I hope he stays.
Glenn made a good point that he should be able to stay and spout what they truly believe. Right.
Go ahead, do that. The Young Turks are the ones responsible for Ilhan Omar, for Ocasio-Cortez, for Rashida Tlaib and Ringo Starr. Mm-hmm. They're the ones responsible for it. So if that's who you want, literally picking, supporting, and propping up your congresspeople, have at it.
Hey, can we step back one more time? I know I just made this point, but I want to make it again. We should all remember this on the right next time we get all pissed off at somebody on the left and we want to get them fired. Mm-hmm. Because of the system that's already set up, we are paying for their unemployment. You are going from a situation where some crazy left-wing organization is paying these people to you paying them. That is not an improvement. I don't know why everyone thinks this is such a great idea. You get these people fired, and then you wind up supporting them. It's a terrible idea.
Isolated, they become more disgruntled.
And they have free time. They're sitting, instead of yamming on whatever, Twitch or whatever it is, they're now at home with I wonder how I can plan my revenge. These are not good outcomes. Just let them if some morons will continue to pay them, let it continue to happen.
Back in a minute.
I want to give them free health care, and I want to give them unemployment, and I want to give them everything.
So former Representative, Congressman Joe Walsh, of course he's a radio host now, he says that he is strongly considering launching a bid to challenge President Trump. We've got a couple clips of his remarks. Let's watch.
The Republican Party will always, always regret the fact that they did not call this man out. Somebody has to.
If you feel that way, are you running against him?
I'm strongly, strongly considering it. That's, again, I'm not trying to be cute or coy. I've told you before, if somebody's going to get in there and go after him, John, it's got to be done soon. You're running out of time. But more importantly, these are not conventional times. Look at the guy in the White House. These are urgent times. Somebody needs to make that case. I have yet to hear any potential Republican make that case.
He also, before we get into the conversation, had a little more harsh words to say about Donald Trump. Watch.
For the life of me, John, I don't know why any other Republican can't say this. It's got nothing to do with the debt and the deficits. That's a concern. It's got nothing to do with his bad, horrible tariffs. They are bad and horrible. He is a bad man who, and we don't talk about this enough, John. Millions and millions of American children every single day in this country are learning, they're paying attention. They're learning that it's okay to lie and be a bully and be cruel. The only way you primary Donald Trump and beat him is to expose him for the con man he is. And if I did it, John, that's what I'd do. I'd punch him every single day.
Glenn, Joe Walsh, 2020.
Joe Walsh. Life's been good to you so far. Not much longer. God bless him if he really believes that. He's not going to make an impact. You're going to punch him every day? You're going to expose him for the liar that he is? Is he calling this president a liar? Because everybody in America has been calling him a liar for, 3 years now. We know he is truth challenged. We know he's a bully.
Truth challenged.
Well,
that's a very nice term. I like it.
I don't want to be, I'm not an ableist. We know these things. We know these things. What we don't know is who can stop the radical left and who the person is on our side that actually believes in anything more than Donald Trump does. Mm-hmm. I don't think he believes in I think he believes in gun control. I do. Mm-hmm. And I think we might get some in his second term. And I think that's really bad.
They're talking about it still now, although he's kind of maybe signaled some backing off of that, but who knows?
Who knows? But I don't think he'll get it in his first term because people will say, I voted for you and the election matters. So he might, but that's not one of his core principles. So we might get some. But we do know what his core principles are, and they are tariffs, which are awful. It is Israel, which is great. Mm-hmm. I think it is anti-war, which I think is pretty good. For the first time in my life, I'm kind of glad we have somebody who's not ready to go get them. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a core principle of his.
Well, and we also know the core principles of the people on the other side that he's running against.
And what we don't know are the core principles of anybody that wants to run against him, as far as in the GOP. I can tell you what the core principles are of the GOP. There is, and there's also,
cut out there a little bit.
That's what it is. There's nothing. There's nothing. They don't believe in anything.
But you can see the people who are saying this about, maybe I'll primary Trump. They don't make a case for themselves. They don't say, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not Trump. That's not going to do it.
Orange man bad is now coming from both sides.
People like Trump, and it's fine, but you can't come out and say, I'm not Trump, and say that's going to win. Well, he won, so why do you think not being him is going to be a successful strategy? I don't understand that.
Look, I'm not one of the people who think a primary challenge is some evil thing. The more choices, the better, frankly. I don't mind that. Joe Walsh is not the guy. I think it's quite clear. He was probably the biggest cheerleader for Donald Trump in 2016. The guy was basically like Breitbart times 10 throughout 2016, and now all of a sudden he thinks he's the worst guy in the world.
Why?
I don't know what that transition is. I mean, he keeps talking about his character issues and but that was very obvious coming into this.
Character issues.
Yeah, knew who he was.
You know who he is. His wife knows who he is.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious. I mean, you look at other people who've talked about this, be it Justin Amash or Mark Sanford, who are serious people, right? Like they actually, you might not like them, you might think Trump is better. There's no evidence to think any of them could have any chance of beating Donald Trump in a primary, but they are serious people who have legitimate criticisms, many of them very principled, against Donald Trump. And I don't think it's a bad thing to have competition, right? Competition a lot of times can make a candidate stronger anyway. It's just that Joe Walsh is the last guy in the universe you'd think, I mean, legitimately, he was on the level of, I mean, think of anybody who was supporting Donald Trump. He was like Michael Cohen during the election, and he's had a Michael Cohen sort of transition.
If you're going to replace him, you have to be a principled person and Justin Amash, but not as an independent. Mm-hmm. Justin won't do it.
Sanford's talking about doing it in the Republican Party. I mean, and he has no chance of winning. But I mean, Mark Sanford, is a serious person who has a very conservative record, a good record as a congressman and a governor. Not always on the scandal issues, but he at least has an argument as to what's different between him and Walsh. I mean, Walsh saying it's not about the debt and it's not about tariffs, it's about his character. Well, everybody's blabbing on about his character. Everyone knows that. Everyone's priced that in already.
Everybody made their decision on that in 2016.
There's been almost no focus on the debt, right? And almost none from Republicans. I mean, it would at least be an issue, would be interesting to discuss.
Yeah. Is this election, Glenn, do you think that it's too important, there's too much to lose to have to deal with another challenger on the Republican side?
No, I would like to see no independent run.
Okay.
That's how Woodrow Wilson got in. Mm-hmm. He was not supposed to win, and he won because of a three-way, it was Roosevelt.
And as Sanford said, he wants to run as a Republican, and if Trump wins the primary, he would vote for Trump. Right. I mean, I don't think these things are going to happen. Honestly, there might be. I mean, Walsh might jump in there. What does Joe Walsh have to lose? Honestly,
right.
So one of these guys might jump in there.
Just saying.
Well, not from a primary challenge from Joe Walsh. I mean, if anything, he has a chance to kind of personally raise his profile, but he's not going to make any damage in that primary. They're not even going to have a debate. If it's Joe Walsh versus Donald Trump and Bill Weld, who's already in there, right? Have you heard anything about him? Is he affecting Donald Trump in any negative way? Mm-hmm. No. I mean, they're not even at the point where they will have a debate. This is not even a primary at this point. It really isn't. It's not like Bill Bradley and Al Gore back in the day. This is not even a primary. No one is going to jump in there that actually has a chance of beating him.
And I find myself skeptical that they're not doing it for personal profile, to get on TV and talk about it for a couple of days. Do I believe that they're really going to try to primary and go through and make a challenge? No, not really. I think it's
maybe his radio ratings were just low and he wanted some extra boost.
We're talking about him now, right?
Yeah. All right, back in a minute. It's so.
I bought them.
Glenn, you've got a show coming up.
Christmas Stories. We haven't done this in about 10 years. They're great holiday stories. You will laugh, you'll cry, it will become a part of you. There's only one show, one city, one night only, December 7th, Salt Lake City. Get your tickets. Almost sold out, Stu?
Yeah, it's getting pretty close.
Yeah, so grab your tickets now. They're on sale. You can get them at glennbeck.com. Just look for Christmas Stories with Glenn Beck. Follow the links and we'll get you set up.
I feel like he's sending us a message, making the show all the way in Utah where we, what if I want to go watch it?
The tickets are all sold out for you.
But you just said that there are still some left.
Not for you.
Not for you.
They just sold out.
They're not close enough for you. No.
You go, oh wait, I just got a notification on my phone. They are entirely sold out.
Oh, darn it.
Rough
Get your
life
tickets
for me.
now, glennbeck.com. So